Captain's Log, entry 2349. The journey has been endless. Will it ever stop? Will we ever find what we are looking for? The search for a playable Grixis deck continues.
All right, so today we are playing some Grixis DRC. Dragon's Rage Chandler here. Powerful new card in the most recent expansion. We've got Delirium. If you have 4 or more card types in your graveyard, it gets 2/2 flying and must attack each turn if able. And we've got some pretty reasonable cards to help us enable Delirium in this archetype. So we've got Footfall Crater here. That's basically just a 1 mana cycling card that mostly are just cycling to get this going on. We've got Soul Guide Lantern, which is a main deck hate card for various graveyard decks in the format, but it's also just a 2 mana artifact cantrip as well. So some utility here, but also just like other card types to get into the bin for Delirium. And then we've got other good aggressive threats that care about us casting cheap spells. So we've got Dorat, the perfect pet here. We've got Dreadhorde Arcanist. We've got Young Pyromancer. Why do we have a split of Young Pyromancer versus, more of these? Well, this is an evasive flying threat similar to this. At the core, we're also a Lurrus deck. We've got a bunch of cheap things. We've got some other cantrips and opt. We've got Unholy Heat as a potentially powerful removal spell that also appreciates Delirium. So let's go ahead and dive on into some matches with this one and see how it feels. Yeah, so Memory Lapse is potentially a card we should be playing. There's also consideration for Thoughtseize, but one of the things that Dragon's Rage Chandler does, and Dreadhorde Arcanist as well, is encourages you to play proactively and play your cards out in advance, which kind of clashes with what Memory Lapse is looking to do. It's very possible that Memory Lapse is just a generically good card. We should be playing it because it's generically good, but I want to start with this more proactive slant as opposed to starting with Memory Lapse. SJ, thank you for the 1.5 years of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. And Neo, thanks for re-upping for the 2nd month. As a lover of Grixis, I feel personally attacked. Listen, I'm on your side, Neo. I too am a lover of Grixis. That's why the search shall continue. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play this out. Oh, right. It has to exile a thing, so it takes our card away. Do I want to cycle this turn? I think the answer is yes. We'll play a blue source so we can Expressive Iteration next turn still as an option, but I think we just want to draw a card here. It's awkward that we exiled our own thing, though. I wasn't thinking about that sequencing, so maybe I should have led on this instead of leading on the cycle Footfall Crater. Definitely a small missequencing mistake there. Notable new toys for Grixis Dragons. Aliendrazi was streaming with and posted a deck list on his Twitter that was playing Goblin Dark Dwellers inside of a Grixis Dragons type shell that looked kind of gasoline. When will I be playing Red, White, Steel? Oh, sometime this week. The decks that are ones that I've thrown in the queue that aren't ones that other people have paid to see, they just kind of happen when they happen. When I feel like. My loose plans for scheduling this week is we're going to play one brawl deck and one brawl deck and 2 to 3 historic decks per day. Let me start with this again. Just keep iterating, just keep iterating, do. Well, we spun our tires a bunch and didn't actually end up hitting any threats here is the problem. We're doing Grixis things. Yeah, basically. The typhoid rats. Thanks for the follow. Is it right to thirst a dude, jam Arcanist, kill the other? Maybe? I don't know. They have another Shark Typhoon in hand, and, like, they have artifacts, too, so it's not like we're getting rid of their things, right? I also, with this Perfect Pet on top of my deck, I wanted to save the Bloodchief's Thirst if I do start casting them for after I Perfect Pet. Thanks for the follow, Octopus. I'd rather see pure counterspell or memory lapse. Would you rather slam your hand in a car door or hold it on a hot stove for 30 seconds? Since we're discussing terrible things we could do. Car door for sure. Sounds like a Twitch vote. Hey, look, it's another card we can't beat. Yikes. And for reference, my silly question there was just to highlight the absurdity of the, which of these terrible things would you rather have happen to you? It's like, well, I don't want either of them to happen to me. They both sound terrible, and I'd prefer they didn't. So like the, well, Jeff, you get rid of memory lapse, but you have to get counterspell. And it's like, well, just please neither. What if we did neither? Yeah, I don't know about Thoughtseize versus Inquisition. The creature matchups you definitely prefer Inquisition. Yeah, face punch or groin shot's another good comparison. They both neither are pleasant. Just no, please don't. Wait, what? They... Deal. I'm very confused that they spent their... I didn't connect that the treasure tokens meant that they couldn't do that anymore. Yeah, it's definitely a choice. Kulai, thanks for the follow. Hand... Library Exile. My opponent bottomed a Magma Opus. I just assume they're on Anger of the Gods and hold this other Arcanist in hand, right? I think is the plan. Flashing back a second thing per turn doesn't sound particularly useful. I mean, my opponent's like 30 cards into their deck without an Indomitable Creativity yet, so as soon as that happens, we're probably still hosed. Do they have the Delirium count in your hand, but not on the board? Yep. That is exactly correct. There is a Delirium count in my hand, but not on the board. Is this better than a random? Is this better than the card underneath this and then a random? Oh, they don't have a spell to cast, so they're dead in the air? Sick beats. Sick beats. Want the extra threat in Young Pyromancer. It beats by Dreadhorde Arcanist. Counter spells all in for sure. Does IOK do a lot here? Yeah, I know it missed a bunch that game, but Inquisition does take their combo card, right? I think we trim this and just hope to kill them or stop their combo from happening as opposed to killing the creature after it gets in play. Let's try this. Let's try this. I don't know if we're supposed to get an arena up here. I'm pretty blissfully ignorant of the weather if we're not in blizzard season in Illinois. Should there be some duress in the board? Yeah, there could be a discussion of, do we want 5 counterspells or should some of them be some number of Thoughtseize or duress? I think it's probably an okay question to ask ourselves. I think I'm gonna hold up Negate here to protect my threat. Also counters the Mizzix Mastery here. Nah, I want to keep that right. Because the next turn I can go 4th land, Chandler, Inquisition, hold up Negates. I'm just passing here because I want to run into a 2/2 Shark. There's a part where they go land, Indomitable Creativity, Mystic Dispute Meme. I want to kill this. I have another one. think we keep that there. Means I don't get the next Surveil either, but worth. They had the Mizzix Mastery. Oh! Oh, wow. That's kind of tough beats. I guess I can just cast these though, right? We could die to them just like natty comboing us here. Yeah, nice negates. Okay, well, I was expecting them to be playing the new version, so this version means I want Unholy Heat back in my deck, right? Because Unholy Heat breaks this up. That's perfect. So we'll go hand, library, exile. I think I'm doing this because I need to dig during my upkeep here. So the out is Mystic Dispute. So if I just draw this, I get 2 more Surveils to scry in a draw. So if I bin this, I get 2 more looks. If I draw it, I get 4 more looks. The fact that I'm topping here might also be a show of strength that makes them not go for the Locust God next turn. I assume they're just going to Zerg us and just like jam it, but you know, you can at least try. So we have 3 disputes and an Aether Gust. You got 4 shots at them. No, the Sage of the Falls makes them draw it. I mean, that wasn't the Mystic Dispute I wanted, right? Yeah, now we're just dead. Yeah, we're just dead, right? Sad. That's super unfortunate. The fact that they drew both their combo cards and my negates were just stone cold blanks. I have to draw Lurrus to hand and then pay 1 to cast Lantern and then pay 1 to draw with Lantern. Yeah, there's no way they're not just jamming the God the following turn, right? They've shown us that that was their prerogative to do. Thanks for the follow, Max, a bit, and Sir Rhino. Howdy, H721. Thanks everybody for your out this stream, by the way. Great to see over 1,700 people in here for some historic. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We're going to take a mulligan here. My name is Jeff Hoagland. I stream full-time here on Twitch. We're here doing constructed magic 5 to 6 days a week. Usually do 5 or 6 hours of constructed magic every single day to start the stream. We're playing a ton of historic this week with the archives, or the Historic Horizons, whatever the new set's called. We rebranded them constantly. We bottomed this, keep my 3 lands. We'll opt on 1, digging for a threat. Thanks for the follow, Diesel. Welcome to the magic side of Twitch. So you got Hearthstone in your username. This is going to be my last deck of the day. We're going to be playing for another hour or so with this one. But I usually do 3 or 4 decks every single day of the week. I also have a YouTube channel that's fairly well maintained, where everything that I stream that feels worthwhile or potentially something worth working on more ends up. It's a great place. Everything's cut up by there and organized by the type of content that it is. It's a great place to find some deck lists a little bit off the beaten path. All right. This starts very good. We've got 2 bits of pressure, 2 bits of disruption. Just gonna get this one out of here. I don't want to give them an opportunity to hold up, have like a dispute with that next turn. So open for a blue source here. Untap blue, I guess. And we get 4 looks at it too, so that's not too bad. Sweet. Okay, so hand, library, exile. Shock this in. I'm gonna hold up Aether Gust here because I don't want to like Inquisition and then have them like draw a Mizzix Mastery off the top or something, or an anger, another anger. You can do this next turn. That's a rough beat. Need to find a negate or a mystic dispute here in 2 looks. Sedge. We don't know that anger didn't come off the top, so there's no guarantee that this Inquisition would have stopped that permanently. Alright, I'm going to take Iteration away from them, since their hand doesn't have a way to kill at the moment. There's a lot of disruption, though. Yeah, they also had Mizzix. Yeah. Our sequencing ended up pushing extra damage here, which is all we could really do. Oh, did I bottom the Soul Guide Lantern? I did. That's really sad. What's going on, Milver? Man, we binned so many lands this game. What was probably the best draw on the deck? Fortunately, no threats here. Little protection for when we find a threat for later. Get to kill their token here for now. Alexander Colis, thanks for the follow. Good afternoon. So you want to let the Mizzix Mastery resolve because it exiles itself anyways, and then it also exiles the Expressive Iterations, which is nice. So this way, if they draw another Mizzix Mastery, they can't do the thing. It feels a little premature, right? Like I'm gonna get 1 attack in, and they have a chance to draw an answer the following turn. We'll take it, I guess, but yeah, they're only at 6. I felt pretty smooth. Our deck definitely got to execute on its game plan that it was looking to execute on. Do I want more discard in the board over some of these counters? I don't know. I feel like that could go either way. I need a 3rd K command. Maybe I'd rather have the discard spell. What if we got like the third Dispute and the third K command here and just put a couple of Thoughtseizes in the board. I think I like that. Thoughtseize is not a companion. Accurate, Magic Arena. I appreciate the rules update. MK all day. Thank you for the 34 months. Oh yeah, I picked it up when you dropped that owl. There you go. What's going on, Ruben? Thanks for the follow this afternoon. I take the creativity deck as a donation deck, but stock tier 1 decks aren't really something I'll play of my own volition. Yeah, we played Green White Scales as the first historic today. It'll be up on YouTube this evening. Minaim and Kevun, thanks for the follows. Don't forget to Lantern EOT. This is not Relic of Progenitus. I'll do this and attack for 1. No, I want to hold on to Bloodchief's Thirst because if they combo and don't name sorcery, I can kill their 7/7 with the kick with it kicked. This is a different opponent for those of you that have been jumping in and out. So I'm assuming they're playing Sarah's Emissary here. But they could theoretically be on. I don't remember. Is this the same opponent we just played against? I wasn't paying attention to the name. It could be the same opponent and they could be on the other combo again. But I think until I see Locust God, I'm going to assume they're on Emissary. Different opponent, yeah. The Emissary is the more popular of the two at the moment. Obviously, it's not a guarantee, but when in doubt, hedge that in the dark, I think. And again, I think in the post-board games, it's generally speaking correct to just cut your Bloodchief's Thirst. You don't want to play the gamble of did they name sorcery or not. You'd rather just have discard spells and counter spells to try and stop them from doing the thing, and just accept if they do the thing, you're going to die. Seems pretty good. All right. Cast Raven's Crime. Target opponent discards a Lightning Helix. So I definitely want to redraw my Dorat, so I'm going to go ahead and get my Scry in here before this goes back to the top of my deck. Plague Lord MTG. What's going on? Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Am I dead yet? So they have Shark Typhoon? Memory Lapse plus Cycle Clue. Got it. Is Enchantress a real threat? Eh. Was it 10% luck, 20% skill? Is it 10% luck, 15% skill, 20% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain? Good chance they were talking about Magic when they wrote the 50% pain part of that line. %, butterscotch ripple. Man, I can't remember the name, chat. I'm having this memory lapse. I just can't do it. Oh, I wish I knew what they were playing, chat. I'm gonna bottom this Footfall Crater. What's going on, Plods? Thanks for the follow. Yeah, if you have the good historic cards for this deck, like the mana base, this deck's relatively cheap in terms of spells, like Perfect Pet and Chandler and Pyromancer are all like uncommons. How greedy is it to Dorat here? The answer is probably pretty greedy, but also let's go. Yes, also an uncommon. You can't really budget the mana base in this deck, though. Ragavan is still 105 tickets. Oh. Listen, chat. People complain about the Magic Arena economy a lot, but at least it's not $105 Ragavans. That's all I'm saying. What's the worst non-Magic game that I've played? I mean, you don't remember the names of the bad ones, right? They're just not worth thinking about. What's that in real money? A ticket is $1. It is $105 for one digital Ragavan on Magic Online. $420 for a playset of your card that dies to Lightning Bolt. Can we ever beat Witch's Oven Cauldron Familiar? Like in a million years? Hey now, it also dies to Gut Shot. Hey now, it's a gut shot. Your monkey's in the graveyard. Glad you spent as much as a car to play with him. Do 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 do. I'm playing Matter Reshaper in Legacy again to punch that monkey in the face. Get him blocked. Get him blocked. How does it cost more in digital than paper? Because people can actually play digital Magic right now. I'd listen to that cover while driving. I try. I'll trade you my 1996 Honda for a playset of monkeys. I mean, that's a good trade. Thanks for the follow, Blue. If bad late 90s, early 2000s Magic themed covers are your kink, this is a good channel for you. I don't know how we want to sideboard here. I cut the third K command from the board. Maybe we're supposed to have some Abrades in our 75. The oven decks also haven't been that popular either, though. Need some other trims here. We could just trim the ops as filler. This is technically an answer to Cat, if we can get the timing right. Perpetually gives it -1, -2, but they just can't have an oven active when you target it, or the second response. Yeah, Braid hits creativity targets too is also true. All right, I'm going to coward split these. I'm going to go down to one of these and go down to two of these and run it. So anyone made Ojutai's command playable? Not since the card was printed. Can we get Wall of Omens in this format? I want to like Ojutai's command back Wall of Omens and like Restoration Angel it. Maybe we should put Ojutai's command plus Restoration Angel on my to build list at some point. Those are both 4-mana instant speed cards. Yeah, I want them to be white though. I don't want to splash green. Command saw play with Baby Jace. Yeah, that was like more the power of Baby Jace than the power of command though, right? So like, you're right, but also command is trash. Discard spells are so tilting. Just like getting to know when they peel it on you. I think I just draw this. It could be right to Chandler this turn, but only spending one of my 3 mana sounds really awful. Honestly, like, all of the flip planeswalkers are great designs. I love Flip Nissa too. Borderland Ranger that turns into a late game card advantage engine. Sign me up. Maybe I was supposed to upkeep Unholy Heat to get the Scry on. Probably accurate. If there's a land on top of my deck, I could have drawn it for the turn. Thanks for the follow, Tagger. It's been a good day for follows. Yeah, this could have been in play. That's a big sad. This could have been in the bin. Howdy, Reddits. All right, and now let's run back the play we should have done last turn. Got the stop on the upkeep there in time. Yeah, let's actually keep that, right? Because I have the mana to spare to cast it. And it gets a Surveil plus a Scry in. Or Chandler. So we're shock this in so we can Unholy Heat something this turn. They're 1 mana off of the 3 in position here. So we get to blast this, Surveil. I'm gonna draw. It's probably the game. We've stumbled long enough and we've recovered here with our threats. It's like a couple of Claim the Firstborns can maybe drag them kicking and screaming back in. Grab through the Escape Dorko here. Yeah, this card's very good when you pair it with a bunch of other cheap spells. For sure. Yawgmoth here could sacrifice things to make things smaller, but they also have to pay life to do that, so... I drew first there, so I could draw the Expressive Iteration we knew was on top. Yes, yeah, I agree, Wavos. The Yawgmoth Chord is a very, very reasonable archetype. Okay, so they technically have a draw here because they can sacrifice the Cauldron Familiar, but Unless they have some kind of sweeper in their deck, they should be dead to one of these Chandlers. We'll do a game 3. Doriat plus K command was lethal last turn, wasn't it? No, they can sack the cat. They could sack the cat to Yawgmoth and give the Doriat -1/-1 in response to it getting a counter. I'm still working my way through yesterday's open, but a couple hours in, I can say it was a great choice of co-host once again. Yeah, Amy was great. It's possible, for the record, that like that line was still fine flame burst, but it just wasn't deterministic lethal, so I decided not to take it. You can't kill and bring back Lurrus with the Zoom command. You cannot. You have to choose the thing from your graveyard when you put the K command on the stack, and Lurrus isn't in the graveyard at that point. Is she Canadian? She's from Massachusetts, I believe, or currently resides in Massachusetts. Is that near Canada? Boston? Boston, Massachusetts, somewhere out on the right coast, if I recall correctly. Oh, it always does that. I took a peek at the comments on the video for this past weekend really quick. Most of them are great. I haven't read all of them yet, but something YouTube does is it defaults my open coverage and it auto tags the game as Hearthstone when I don't manually tag it in. Yeah, I'll fix that real quick. It must have something to do with it. Maybe they just assume that Magic's not capable of having an esports overlay. But it's like always without fail. Every time I post open coverage, YouTube auto tags it as well, it tags my normal. I forget to check it because it doesn't. I don't need to manually tag my normal gameplay videos. Like my normal gameplay videos, it recognizes arena and auto tags it appropriately. It's just something to do with the overlays or something that we use for the open coverage makes their auto detection think it's Hearthstone. Hey, Adaresis, thanks for the 3/4 of a year. Welcome back. I don't really have a good play this turn, right? I guess we start with Opt. I don't have a great way to kill this devil. I think we'll just do this. They get to sack this. Oh, I guess this gets rid of our Delirium too now, right? Not that we were fully at Delirium to begin with. It's like 2-for-1's them, but now I'm taking 5. So probably going to die before the card advantage we're accumulating here matters. That's another spot where like an Abrade would be really nice, right? Like, K Command's nice when grinding with that third point of toughness. That third point of damage is so good against aggro. Oh my god, I just dragged the wrong fucking spell into play, so we're super dead. That's embarrassing. I intended to K Command to make them discard a card and shock this. We're probably still dead regardless, because they get to, like, sack and scry a whole bunch here, but the optimal play was not play the draw spell after we'd already played a land, especially when we needed to impact the board. Oh, Boston's in Massachusetts. Was never very good at geometry, chat. See, I said Massachusetts and someone else said Boston. I thought they were contradicting me. The more you know. I'll put a couple of Abrades in here. Rocky Altars. Thanks for the sub-gifties. Good afternoon. My wife's from Boston. That quip was worth 5 subs. Oh, sorry. I said geometry. I meant geology. Yeah, 1778ers got it. Genealogy, was that it? That's the joke. So probably, well, I was going to say we're going to cycle this on one, and then we had Mrs. Chandler here. Mrs. Chandler Bing. Ooh. Ooh. I think we put this into play. And like next turn we could do this, cast a spell, get some Surveil on. Although this isn't particularly exciting against Heart of Korean, huh? You've been statically discharged. Can we just get all our friends set up here and go wide while they're missing land drops? Yeah, let's just do this. And then next turn we can get iteration going. Come on, Mardu vehicles, or at least on red-black Heart of Korean. I think I want to hold up red in case we find Unholy Heat. Yikes. Okay, well, we have to pump the brakes now because this could crew and block. Hopefully next turn we can find something useful. Okay, yeah. It's the 26 months, Thread Menace. Good afternoon. Attacking with both. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Can we kill them? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Not quite. All right, so I draw this. And so this is 9, 11. And then this is 13, 15. So if I draw a 1 mana spell we can cast, they die. Gosh, so close. So close. Sippy Senpai, thanks for the follow. That's fine, we just play defense this turn now, right? Just like cast this. Could have cratered first. If I cycle the crater, I don't trigger Dorat with it. It's the very next card. Why is it always the next one, chat? Yeah, we have to attack with these. We're dead to removal. Is that true? Yeah, it is. Hopefully they have a license for whatever they're about to do. Oh, I could have played the Footfall Crater for the Surveils. Yeah, that's a good call. I didn't think about that. Yeah, we would have gotten 2 more looks. Yeah, that's a good call out. Good shout. Would have gotten there with 2 more looks. Because Darcy gives looks on everything. Hey, Clyde, thanks for the 2/3 of a year. Welcome back. Good afternoon. They must have DC'd. My body is ready for them to reconnect and play their removal spell. Yep. And then I'm pretty sure we just play a tapped land, right? There's no need to die to double Fiery Temper off the top here. And then even if they have another removal spell here, Inquisition plus Unholy Heat should hopefully get us through their following turn. And we've got Lurrus to start generating value out of the bin. All right, so this is a matchup where we're going to trim these Inquisitions, immediately rewarded for Abrade in the sideboard, and Davriel's Withering. Good, clean answer to Scrap Heap Scrounger, which is great. Alexicus, thanks for the follow. Good afternoon. Need 2 trims here. Probably just trim the Ops as filler, right? They're kind of aggressive. We won't always have time to cast cantrips. I like it. Has this deck played against Rest in Peace? We have not. Any of the... I guess Jeskai Control plays Rest in Peace. There weren't really many Rest in Peace to the tournament yesterday. How the deck's been today. Soul Herder was a little mediocre. Hardened Scales is very reasonable, which is no surprise. It made the finals of the Open for a reason. Thanks for the follow, Alan. This deck feels very cohesive. I'd be pretty surprised if something like this wasn't reasonable. If I'm being honest, just playing a good mix of reasonable cards. Is Archmage's Charm a good craft? If you like playing do-nothing blue control decks, then yes. Outside of that, it's not likely to be very flexible in a lot of things. The triple blue casting cost is very prohibitive. Arcahin, good afternoon. Thanks for the follow. Gosh, at this rate, we might actually hit 69,000 followers before the end of the year. Slow and steady. Drop the second perfect pet. Unfortunate that Soul Guide Lantern is not optional here. So we do have to exile our own Footfall Crater, but I definitely want to play this out and get the triggers on my pets. Tidius and Rip Axe, welcome to the channel. Good afternoon. Is there a goal for that number specifically? There's not. Chat, I'm a relic of Twitch. I don't do silly goals for sub counts or follows or whatever. My goal is to keep waking up every morning and showing up. The key to not being disappointed in life is managing expectations. If you set your expectations low, it's incredibly easy to achieve them. All right, so definitely want both threats. The question is, which threat do I want to play this turn? Darcy's pretty far off activating, right? Although I could Darcy and then sack the Lantern to draw a card, which gets us working towards it. All right, I'm going to play the Darcy this turn, I think. Library, Exile. Thanks for the follows, Servant and PMP. They keep getting priority, but that could very well just be the Bobot Courier giving it to them. I'm supposed to hold back a perfect pet this turn to play a little bit of defense. Very possible. Yeah, the borderless pathways are gorgeous. I actually really love that they changed from doing just foil treatments, especially in paper. I always hated playing with foils in paper because, like, the quality and they warp in different ways. But the borderless cards are really gorgeous. It's smart that they finally figured out how to monetize what people have been paying Altarists to do for a long time. The Vile One. Good afternoon. Thoughts on cutting Lurrus for 4x Nicol Bolas Dragon God? Calm down, Twitch chat. The foil double-sided cards are fine because they curl both ways. There's the big brain. Ooh, that's rude. So this is not Rest in Peace, so it doesn't get rid of the cards already in my bin. So we'll sack that, so I have this to return later with this. That's a decent pickup. So I probably want to kill... Wait. How did I... How is... No, I wanted to kill the... I want... Where's the thing? Alright, well, I mean... I guess the arena interface has made the decision for us. I thought when I clicked on it, it was gonna expand it out, because that's usually what happens, but apparently I had to click on... Apparently I had to click on the exiled cards to access the card that was technically on the battlefield. What garbage? The more you know, I guess. I assumed clicking on the things that were in play would give me the option of clicking on the things that were in play, since like you literally couldn't see the sphere underneath it. Now this Skyclave Shade's a 4/2 Trampler lifelink. So if they have any amount of burn, we're probably dead. I'm blocking with this token because this way I don't die to a single Fiery Temper. Or a single unlicensed disintegration. What are the odds they're dead? We take those. High. Probability, Magic 8 Ball says definitely. All right, cool. Good shit. May the odds be ever in your favor. Well, clearly killing the Beaumont Courier is the correct play, chat. Just big brained it. All right, let's get one more good match in with this, and then we'll do a wrap up and we'll start some Psychonauts this afternoon. Remember, if you're looking for more content from myself, you weren't able to catch the Hoaglandia Open yesterday, for example. The Hoaglandia Open is already published and tagged all the matches on my YouTube channel. So if Psychonauts is not your jam, but you want to experience more Hoaglandia, there's a lot of great ways to do that offline as well. Yeah, this is fine, right? We're on the draw, and I've got a bunch of cantrips. I think I want to lead on Inquisition against the aggro deck. Actually, incredibly unfortunate here that they have 2/2 drops. I was hoping to disrupt their curve. Interesting build here. So they're 1-drop, 2-drop, and then they're going up to Cavalier of Dawn. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hand meat cookie jar. Big oof. I mean, I guess we get to do this, and then I get to do this. Yeah, Cavalier returns history. And it's just like a generic kind of answer to things, right? Just like fixes target problem. Alas, we have died. I was hoping they weren't playing an aggro deck with the hand we kept to start. Whew, I'm allergic to White Weenie. I trim these craters. Trim a couple of these ops, so that way game like we just had happen doesn't happen again, where we don't have time to use them. Yeah, no problem, Striderstone. Hope you had a good stream yesterday. Striderstone there in chat, folks. If you're looking for another source of live historic content creation, they're a great one to do. Feel free to click on their name and tap the follow button for them. I'll frequently throw them up in the background in the evenings. I'm looking for something to watch. So we're definitely playing Darcy on one. The question is, what land do we want to play? It's probably the Blood Crypt, because that way if they play a 1-drop, we can go tap land Thirst. Also good if we draw a discard spell. Would love a perfect pet. Love it. Man, opponent's got a spicy one here. Somewhere out there, day 9 just felt like a tingle. Because Outlaws Merriment is seeing play. I'm a little bit thirsty, chat. And only the flavor of nights can satiate my thirst. I'd love an iteration. Iterate me, baby. I'm so bad in beans, WTF. Thanks for the follows. Excuse me. So fun fact, Darcy with Expressive Iteration is almost like Expressive Iteration was originally intended to be played. Because apparently, Expressive Iteration was originally going to let you look at 4 cards. There was a point in the design file where it dug 4 deep. Let's gonna name my kitty cat here. Okay, and then binning this Darcy means that this one will have liftoff. Oh yeah. That's the good stuff right there, chat. It's the good stuff right there. I like the way you do that right there. Houston, we are cleared for takeoff. I repeat, we are cleared for takeoff. I think I'm happy with how we sideboarded. Their less aggressive draw there seemed good for us. I feel like if they don't get under us, we're in a pretty good spot. We were talking about that earlier, Mr. Photon. This deck is a ton of commons and uncommons in the spell base, but the lands you can't really realistically budget out. That being said, making land some of your first investments into Historic is like a pretty good play overall. So it's not strictly bad if you do this and then don't have a ton, like... Whole hand here is commons and uncommons. What are the odds this gets stepped on? High. I'll play a tap land. Should have looked at 4 cards. Unplayable. Alright, and then I'm going to start casting Raven's Crime here. So. Ooh, they just let it die. Okay. I was happy just trading 1 for 1 with the card out of their hand and getting a token, so, you know, deal. They're on like this Boros mid-rangey deck. They were kind of aggressive game 1, but they were much slower in the second game. And this is fine at this point, right? Because I get to draw Lurrus, and then next turn I can Lurrus, bring Dorat back. He says before Gideon's intervention gets cast. Seasoned Pyromancer seeing play. Yeah, it is. There was a Jund mid-range deck that finished 6th at the Open over the weekend. So I'm gonna Unholy Heat my Lurrus in response here, because remember, if I kill Bone Crusher Giant's target in response to it being cast, it goes to the graveyard. And I'm not quite... I guess I am at Delirium now. Maybe I'm supposed to save that to hit this. I would take 2, but the Dorat would get bigger. One K command, please. Hand, bottom, exile. Just want all my threats here. Hey, Xerox, thanks for the prime. There's a ton of great people. You can send that to every single month here on Twitch. Thanks for sending it this way this month. So holding on to the Unholy Heat, it's more resource efficient down the line. And deal 6. That's Pyromancer token, just holding the fort here. Just get to supremely punish them for this sequence here. Get this to 4, so it's a 4-turn clock here. Also makes it big enough to attack through the cave. That's unfortunate. Need some gas, chat. One more non-creature spell gives us a 2-turn clock. Got 2 shots at it. Okay, that's lethal next turn. Great, plenty of things to flashback. Yep. Shit. So this makes these 8. This blocks here. They fire this up. I have a block here. So I think we're supposed to ship with those. Put them down on board. Close scheme. Oh, I was like, what are they doing? Oh, giving lifelink. Wow. Okay, shoot. Am I supposed to trade here? Probably not, right? I guess this has to attack. I think I'm supposed to trade. Best draw, not close. Hand. Library. This card's so messed up, chat. It's so good. Just like not even a little bit reasonable. Thunk. Hey, Scholar, thanks for the 2.5 years. Had a blast at the open. Thanks always for the hard work. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support. Missed sequence. Oh, I missed the surveil. Good call. Good shout. Is Dispute in the sideboard better than Miscast? So I think in aggressive decks, Miscast is better because you care more about their sweepers. In a mid-range grindy deck like what we're currently playing, I think having your 1-mana counterspell be able to counter Teferi for cheap is more important than countering Wrath of God for cheap. I think is what it comes down to. Basically, that's like the question you want to ask. Do you care more about countering Teferi or do you care more about countering like a Wrath for cheap? Thanks for the follow, Don Slane. Yeah, this was gas. We're gonna have to try something like this again. The core here felt super reasonable. We could cast our spells pretty consistently. Honestly, the big thing in my mind was just having these few off card type things in the artifacts and footfall craters and enchantments meant that we did end up hitting Delirium pretty consistently. There's lots of little details you can tweak and tune and twist in here depending on what you want to be better against and what you want to be worse against. But if you're looking for a sweet tempo deck, you're looking for a good home for Dragon Rage Chandler that's not a Phoenix deck, this seems like a very good place to start focusing on. Thanks for the follow me. All right, so I am not signing off for the day. We're going to be starting Psychonauts 2 this afternoon as our next single player variety game that we're going to be doing in the afternoons. But I am done for Magic. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central, with some more Brawl and then a bunch more regular Historic. And remember, the Open as well as a bunch of other stuff that we streamed last week is up on YouTube now. So if you're looking for more Magic stuff from me, you can always check that out there. But I'm going to go ahead and get things flipped over for some Psychonauts. Of the past event, you can go to jeffhoagland.com and click Open Series Events on the main navigation, and you'll be able to find it from there.